Any questions that you have, kids have, or anything like that?
I love the story about what happened when you finally made it back to Canada to be reunited with Rose. Could you share that with everybody? Because it's one of my favorites.
Okay, when I got on the train in Halifax to come to Calgary, there was a 2-hour stopover in Winnipeg, and I phoned my uncles there, and they came and took me out to lunch, and then brought me back to the train, and I went in. The fella at the CNR said, "Mr. Anderson, your train left an hour ago." I said, "How come?" He said, "Well, we just let it go." And I said, "Well, I was 2 hours stopover and you 1 hour." I said, "What's the next train to Calgary?" And they said, "Tomorrow." And then one of them said, "Oh, we have a hospital train going through in half an hour. We'll put you on it." So I got on that train, but in the meantime, they'd sent a telegram to my wife that I missed the train in Winnipeg and would be coming later. So I got here on the hospital train, and no wife. She wasn't there because I hadn't got time to send another telegram saying I'm coming in the hospital train. So I phoned her up at her parents' place, and she said, "Take a taxi." So I took a taxi out to her parents' place and became reunited with my wife after 5 years away. She had a hotel room for us, Royal Hotel, which is no longer there. It was across the street from the Wales Hotel, which is no longer there. So we spent the day in the hotel, and then I went with her to see my parents in Saskatoon. Of course, we traveled in trains with bunk bed, well, not bunk beds, what do you call them? Rooms.
Staterooms.
Yes. And then we traveled to Blairmore to see her parents. No, her parents were already in Calgary then. That's right. He had retired from mining. And they were in Calgary. So for a whole year, we just traveled around. Who was the one that gave me that answer? And I said, "I got something for you." There you are. It's a present for you. It's a dollar bill with King George VI on it. But you can't spend it because I didn't copy the other side.
Thank you.
So, my career is with the Department of National Revenue, Customs and Excise for 35 years. I retired in 1979. God, that's how long ago? 29 years ago? But that was just the first time. I retired 3 times after that because a friend of mine needed a accountant, and so I was with him for 2 years. And then I was with Beaver Lumber for a while in their electrical and hardware part-time for a couple of years. And then the Lutheran Welfare Society found I was not doing anything, and they phoned me up and said, we need a manager at Bethany Village out in near Mount Royal College there. 102 seniors apartments there. So I went out and I said, okay, I'll manage it for a couple of years. So I managed it for 3 years. Then I decided that I've done enough. My life, and my wife hasn't seen anything from Saskatoon to Vancouver where our parents were. So we started traveling around the world. We flew over to London, took the bus to Dover, went over to Belgium, Amsterdam, all the way through Germany, Italy, went to the Isle of Capri, then back. They're on little boats all the time, to Sorrento, went to Rome, Naples, St. Francis of Assisi, Italian Riviera, French Riviera, Nice, Monte Carlo. Then we went into Switzerland, Geneva and one night and Bern the next night. Then from there we went to Paris for 2 days. And I took a taxi in Paris out to the prison camp where I was. And friends, and I took some pictures around there. It's still the Ministry of Justice in France. Cost me $50 to take a taxi out to where it was. But that's all right, I have money. More money than brains sometimes. Then we went back from Paris to Dunkirk and then back to England and back to Canada. Then my wife said, I haven't seen any of the eastern states. So we flew down to New York, went in New Jersey, all the way up Maine to Quebec City, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, down into Niagara Falls, then to the Amish country in Pennsylvania. You know, those Amish people are very nice people. They showed us all around their, excuse me, down their farms and their houses. They got no cars, no TVs. They use horse and buggy. They got 2 buggies, their courting buggy and the married buggy. You know, they bury their dead standing up. Standing up. I said, why do you bury them standing up? We can get 6 people in the same space you get 1. Which is true, isn't it? So then we went back to New York and flew back to Calgary. I think my wife's had enough traveling for a while, but no. She said, we haven't seen any of the western states. So down to Orlando, take a bus and go all through Chattanooga, Graceland, Grand Ole Opry, all those places. Then go back and come back to Calgary, fly back to Calgary. Then she said, I haven't seen San Francisco. So we get in the car and we drive to Vancouver. My son just getting married for the 2nd time. And then we drove all the way down to San Francisco. We took the boat out to Alcatraz. I got a picture of me in the Alcatraz prison there. Where else did we go? Oh, that road that like this in San Francisco, that you can only go down and you can't go up. Now you can't even go down. We went down though, but they hadn't cut it out for that. So we came back, driving through the States in 110 degrees, and got back to Calgary and thought, wow, she's had lots of travels now. And one day she said, I'd love to go on a cruise. So down to Orlando, fly down to Orlando, get on the Dutch ship Rhine for 18 days to cruise the Caribbean, all those islands, Virgin Islands, all those. That's what she loved the best, because you get on the boat, a cruise ship, and go into your stater room, and you're there for 18 days. You're not packing every morning like on the buses. So she loved that one. But, you know, we left the States, went to all those islands, and went to the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas, which is American. We had to go through customs again, because we'd been to all these other ones that belonged to other countries. But it was just more or less a thing. Just went through and said, and we came back. So I thought this was enough traveling for her. She's seen a lot of the country, more than I saw when I was flying over Germany and Italy. But a couple of weeks ago, two of my daughters talked her into another cruise up to Alaska on the same ship that we were on in the Caribbean, Rhine. So that's slated for August, I think.
Rose was still in the Army when you got back.
Yes, it was. Oh, I got her out, though. After 2 weeks of compassionate leave here, when she went back to the hospital in Suffield, I said, go into the administration and tell them you want your discharge, because the war's over now. She phoned me up that night and said they wouldn't give it to me. They said they need me here. So I put uniform on, went down to the CWAC office here on 12th Avenue. Went in and I said, I want to see the major in charge. So she came and I started telling her my story, and she said, come and have a coffee with me. So I told her some more, having coffee, and then she said, come back to my office. I went back to her office. She got in, she got on the line to Suffield Experimental Station. Said, you got a Corporal Anderson out there? And they said, yes, but we need her. Or she's the only one that knows anything here. And she says, I'm Major so-and-so, so-and-so, in charge of the CWAC, and I want Corporal Anderson on the train at 4 o'clock tonight with her discharge. I met the train that night at 5 o'clock, and there she was. Had her discharge, she was out of the Army. So, anything more you want to know?
Question.
Yes.
When you're in Europe, was there still destruction from the war?
The which?
When you traveled in Europe, was there still destruction?
Not too much. It was when the war was over in 1945, and it was 1989 or something. That was 40 years later. Most of the things had built up. Although one place they left them down as a remembrance. I forget where it was. At some gate that was. And, yeah.
When you went back to Belgium,
Yeah.
did you look up that family that
No.
helped you for a couple days?
No. It's we were doing a bus tour then,
Oh,
and
Would you have known the name of the family that you stayed with?
yeah,
So you still recall?
yeah. That's he was an English professor teaching school in Wavre, Belgium, and his name was Professor Gain. I had it in my book, and when I was making the book, I left the name out because in case the Germans got a hold of my book and saw some of my story. So, but I put it in again after I came back. Yeah.
Was it difficult to go back, or did you want to go back because of the?
Over there?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to see what it looked like, and I wanted to take Rose, my wife, and show her some of the world that I was flying over there. Yeah.
Did you ever get shot?
Shot, not in my flesh, but yeah, we got shot every time we went over there. Shells were exploding around us, holes in our aircraft, but the Wellington aircraft, it would fly without any fabric on it.